Hello, lovely lionesses. Welcome to Mindset Monday. So I've been really dying to do this chat with this lovely, lovely lady who has kindly jumped in at the last second for me. And I am really, really excited. This woman is really formidable. She's a powerhouse. And we had an amazing chat on Friday. And she is going to share some amazing stuff with you today. And I really don't know what to expect, but it's going to be a great chat. So please welcome Gwenno Dafydd.
Hi everybody, how are you?
Hi.
I like being thought of as a powerhouse. That's nice.
Welcome, welcome.
Anyway, my name is Gwenno Dafydd and I am Welsh, obviously, and I am a life, leadership and master public speaking coach. I have been working as a professional broadcaster and performer since 1980, and I have also been working in business and in industry since 1980 in various capacities. I bring all of the knowledge that I have as a performer and as a broadcaster to my work as a public speaking coach. I was also an expert on equality for 15 years, and I also bring all of those resources about company handbooks and working with senior executives to try and get them to walk the talk. So I am a vast dichotomy of various things. I don't stop and I like being busy. So.
Wow. Yeah, I would say that you're quite unstoppable. Can you tell the community what you've been doing today and what you're doing straight after this chat?
Well, not a lot really today. I just did a bit of a business this morning. Got in touch with a few people that I'm going to be doing podcasts with. I went for a run along the river. Then I came back here and I did a couple of hours gardening. I've done a bit of work for my business. And then after this interview, I'm going to be going and swimming in the river.
Wow.
Not bad for a 64-year-old who thinks she's 16.
Wow, that's amazing. It really is amazing. Okay. All right. Okay. So today's topic is patience is a virtue. Wow. So what can you tell us about this? This is quite an interesting topic, and we've got some people who are really quite intrigued by the title.
Well, I am a very, very impatient person, and I've had to learn throughout my life that I have to be patient for the things I really, really want. So there are many things that I've had to be really patient for. The first one I'm going to tell you about is, if you see that picture there, that is me representing Wales in the 400 meters, which was my event when I was reserve for the Welsh team back in 1973.
Wow,
I had to be patient. I had to go through 3 car accidents and a lot of disability and bring myself out of all of that before I was able to get my Welsh vest as a master athlete at the age of, I think I was about 37. I was 54. So I had to be patient with that. Another thing I had to be patient with, I ride motorbikes as well.
Oh, wow. So you're a biker babe. Yes.
Well, I actually did a fair amount of biking when I was, I love traveling, and I did like everybody does. I suppose they go out to Greece and they pick up a motorbike. They haven't got a foggiest idea how they ride it. And so I rode motorbikes out in Greece, but I also hired a motorbike in Bali, which was a bit more powerful, and I fell off, hurt myself, got back on, carried on. Anyway, this particular program was a program I had commissioned. It took me 10 years to get commissioned, and it was commissioned when I was heavily pregnant. And as I said, it took me 10 years to get the program commissioned. It was a set of 4 programs with HTV. And I did it when my daughter was 5 months old. And what it was in 1928, my grandfather, who was an eminent politician and was one of the founding members of the Welsh Nationalist Party, William Ambrose Bebb, he went and did a trip around the continent on a motorbike, on the back of a motorbike. There were 2 people doing these motorbike trips. No, 3 people. two were on one motorbike, one was driving, and my grandfather was sitting on a sack of hay. And the three of them went all around the continent. And when he came back, he wrote a travelogue, which was one of the very first travelogues through the medium of Welsh. And I always wanted to reproduce that journey, but doing it with three women, because in 1928, I don't know if you or the listeners are aware, but that was when women had the vote. And I'm a feminist. I have no problem with saying that I'm a feminist, or have been for most of my entire life, once I learned what the name meant. And I wanted to show what had happened from that time when women had the vote to 1992, which was when the programs were commissioned. And so my daughter was 5 months old, and I went and left her for 6 weeks with my mother. And so that was another thing I had to be patient with. This is a one-woman show that I have about the French singer Edith Piaf, and the name on the back here is 21st of the 6th, 1987. So that's a long time ago. I think it's about 32 years ago. And it took me 32 years to get this show to London's West End. What else have I had to be patient with? Oh, this little book here took 20 years to come to fruition. This book is called Stand Up and Sock It to Them Sister, Funny, Feisty Females. And I've interviewed 94 people who are involved in the comedy industry throughout the world, including 65 women who are doing stand-up comedy. And what I wanted to try and do was to deconstruct the glass ceiling and see what it was made up of, and see what was holding women back. So you could take all of this information and say, well, what's stopping women from really progressing in education? Because there's lots of women who are teachers, lecturers, but the higher echelons will be male. And you could say the same in law, in politics, in architecture, in fact, any environment where women are working in the minority. And they're in the minority on the top slice of society anyway. So I've had to learn to be patient.
Okay, good. All right, just going back to your reward, how did you get through your impatient feelings? Yeah, because you said that you're very impatient. So how did you break through that barrier?
What counteracted my impatience was the fact that I'm a very, very determined and stubborn person. So my impatience was coloured by rejection, obviously. So I kept constantly being rejected. And one of my favourite expressions is, when you fall off the horse, dust yourself off and get back on as quickly as you possibly can. So I had to be patient when I was buying my horse as well. I did buy a horse when I was 14, and I had to save up to buy it. I did all sorts of menial jobs, picking potatoes, stacking bales, cleaning milk churns. But so I had to be patient then. But so that is one of my favorite expressions. I used to ride horses. I used to fall off them all the time because I didn't have a saddle. And if you didn't get back on the horse, it would gallop off. So the opportunity would go. So my impatience was always tempered by the fact that if I wanted something, I was going to get it. It didn't matter how long it would take me. So I think nowadays we're all very, very linked into all of this instantaneous gratification.
Yes,
and
we are.
One of the little psychological tests that I really, really like is when you say to a child, it's called the marshmallow test, and they say to a child, would you like this marshmallow now, or would you like to have 2 tomorrow? And I would always want the 2 tomorrow. And that's the thing, I think, that when you actually have to wait and not have instant gratification, you actually really, really value it so much more. You know, I have to say that when I crossed that running line when I was 54, wearing my Welsh vest, which I wear every time I go running, because I have earned that international vest.
Yeah, you have.
I feel really proud.
Yeah,
maybe I wouldn't have when I was 17.
Exactly. Wow. Well, that's a major achievement. Yeah. Wow. Okay. and something just popped into my head, and I've forgotten what it is now. Yes. Would you say that the stubbornness helped you get past your strong, impatient desire, or your determination? Which is stronger?
I don't deconstruct them. I just know that if I want something, I will work really hard. I'm not one of these people that tramples on other people. It's not in my nature. If I want to do something, I will achieve it. I will work very hard. There's another instance, you may not know, but I've also created an anthem for St. David's Day. St. David is Wales's patron saint. And I came up with the idea when I was taking part in the St. David's Day parade. And that was back in 2005. And I had this vision, this dream, that I was going to create an anthem for St. David's Day, which would be performed by choirs, by people singing outside of Wales, throughout Wales, and in parades and processions. Now, it's taken 15 years, but it has happened. So
wow.
I don't try and say, well, what part of me is this coming from? I just get on with it. And that's another one of my my methods. Yeah, I just get on with it. You know, I don't take no for an answer. And I do believe that, you know, if something fails, try it another way. If you find a barrier, you get under it, you get around it, you get over it, or you get through it. You know, if you believe strongly in what you're doing, and I always do, because otherwise, what's the point? You know, either it's a great idea, then, or it's not worth doing.
I was just going to mention that your why. I was just going to mention that your why must be so strong and so clear. Yeah, for you to get past this big obstacle that you were just describing.
Well, why do I do things? Because I'm a passionate Welsh person. I want to create something that is lasting. I'm a passionate feminist. I want to share the knowledge that I spent 20 years looking for. I want to share that with the world, with women, so that they can overcome their own barriers. I also know that when I perform all the Edith Piaf songs, that I have a gift, and I want to share that with people so that it can uplift them. I know I get a lot when I have people in the audience that come up to me and say, you really made my day. I loved what you did. And you know, when you're sharing pleasure, and you know that you're doing something that brings benefit to people. In the same way as with my coaching, I absolutely adore coaching, because that is my life in motion. Because people come to me who are stuck. They are stuck in a marriage, in a rut with their work, in a relationship, with friendships that are not fulfilling. They have so-called friends, or they are in a place where they don't want to be. And I enable them. That's why I'm often called the kick-ass coach by my coachees, because I've been kicking my own ass my entire life. So I know how to motivate people. I know how to do it. I started coaching, believe it or not, when I was 12, because I was a runner then. And what I used to do, I went all the way through school. I wasn't particularly interested in academia at that point, but I was very interested in being a leader. And I was the school class counsellor every year, because Gobby Gwenno would raise an issue. I always wanted to represent people and make good things that were wrong. For example, when I was 17, I led a strike with some women working in a place called the Frenchman's Motel, because they weren't being paid the same as the gardeners or something similar. But I led a strike. Can you imagine the cheek of it? I was only 17. So, you know, justice, fair play, equality, diversity, representing, promoting people, engaging with people, showing them what is stopping them from getting to somewhere is something that I've done forever. And I loved that cartoon that you shared, which is 3 feet away from gold. We never know how close our gold is.
That's true. Yes.
So thank you for sharing that cartoon.
Oh, you're welcome. No, there are many entrepreneurs who don't succeed because they just give up at the last second. They really do. And I've done it myself. I've given up on internet marketing, affiliate marketing, and different M&M businesses because it just wasn't bringing any results. But this coaching thing, I'm really passionate about, so I'm sticking with it. And I'm really glad I'm doing this coaching because this is my future. I've already had a tarot card reading that says that I'm going to be highly successful, and I feel like I am because meeting wonderful people like you, and I've got a whole lineup. I've been very, very busy the last 3 days, booking in amazing, fantastic coaches.
Well done.
Yes, so thank you. Yes, thank you for coming on and sharing your thanks for your wisdom and your experience. So you have a really strong, never give up attitude. Ever since the day you were born, it sounds like it.
I think so, because when I was a young baby, I had bronchitis and I was very, very, very ill. But one of the things that I was my daddy's girl. My sister, for a while, there were just the two of us. So I would be my daddy's girl and I would go out farming with my dad. So I used to do very masculine things at a very early age, whereas my sister would be in the house with my mother, cooking and cleaning. And I used to love farming. So I'd be out with my dad and he would put me on the back of a sow and I'd pretend it was a horse. And but I always loved the outdoors. And I grew up in West Wales, and we were quite far away from our neighbours, so we had to make our own fun. So the way I used to make my own fun was to run. So I always used to run up the mountain, and I used to spend loads of time exploring. I became very brave as a young teenager, because you just did. I had to walk into town, I had to walk out of town. I'll be 5 miles. You become very robust. And I don't like the word, what are they called? Snowflakes. I think it's horrible. But I have to say that we were pretty robust and pretty tough because of the way that we were brought up, because we had to. We didn't have parents ferrying us around. If I wanted to go into Fishguard, I would either have to walk or I would cycle on my bike from an early age. So, and I had a bike when I was about 7. Well, that, the exploring spirit was then born. And so in some ways, I'm more masculine than I am feminine, really. Although I thought I'd wear a dress just to impress you today.
I hear you. I can hear so many parallels with your story and my upbringing. But I've been fighting with, I was a tomboy and I was my daddy's girl as well. And I used to go fishing with him and do stuff, but I couldn't go on a farm though, unfortunately. But yeah, I see a lot of parallels. Yeah, that's great. And when he died, it really hit me hard when he died. And I thought I had a strong connection with my mother, but I didn't, obviously, in the end. So.
Well, my dad was a fabulous man, and the day before he died, at the age of 89, he was still reading Shakespeare. Very, very clever man. And I used to sort of sit with my dad and we'd argue about politics, and they were more than discussions. They really honed my intellect, and I loved discussing with my dad. But I want to show about this one here. It's surprising how many of the women I interviewed who were female stand-up comics who were actually either daddy's girls or they were tomboys, so many of them. And I think that's what it is, it's a social conditioning about how we're brought up.
Yes.
I never wanted to wear frilly dresses when I was a girl. I was always in the mud. I was always
me too, climbing trees.
It just seemed more fun.
Of course it was. Boys had more fun. What can you do with a Barbie and a Cindy? My parents used to force dolls and stuffed toys on me, and I was like, but this is boring. I want to be climbing trees. I want to get dirty. I want to hurt myself, to find out where my boundaries were.
Yeah. You see, I didn't have any boundaries physically, because my physical boundaries, I overcame them because I used to run, walk, climb, whatever. So my physicality, our first boundary as human beings is our own skin. Once you can conquer that, once you can say to people, don't touch me, this is, you know, keep your hands off, all of that. Then the rest is basically up to us to explore. And for me, I was so lucky. I grew up in Pembrokeshire, and that is, so many people want to go to Pembrokeshire. I can't tell you. And I lived in a beautiful, stunning part of it. And I used to go on a Sunday, I'd run down to a place called Pwllderry, and I would go swimming with the seals. And I'm not kidding. You know, all of this thing about, what do they call it? Wild water, wild swimming. I've been doing that all my life. You know,
swimming with wild seals.
Sorry?
Sorry, swimming with wild seals.
Yeah, I used to swim with wild seals.
Wow. The big brown furry ones. I have seen them in Australia.
They're not furry. They're not furry. No. Their skin is very, you know, it's
the sleek ones.
When the pups. Hang on. Oh, I'll get you one. Hang on a second.
Get me one. Oh, you've just got one in the back there.
Oh, another photograph here.
Okay, great.
Can you see? That's what a pup looks like. A seal pup looks like that. It's white, and you shouldn't come within 20 feet of it, but I used to because I was a bit naughty. But and I used to be very, very. I used to sing to the seals. I know it sounds a bit wacky and a bit crazy, but it worked. No, it did. I used to. I really used to sing to them, and you could hear them sing. Responding, they liked it, you know.
Well, you had an audience of seals, so
yeah, I've sung to all sorts.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, that's got to be a first. I haven't heard anybody.
I don't know if it's a first, but I used to do it anyway. I'm not one for being following convention. I lived a very bohemian life in Belgium for many years. I taught English as a foreign language, and I also used to busk, and I did some very, very brave things, really, looking back on it. I don't know whether I could do it now, but the first thing I did was to stand in Galerie de la Reine and just sing a cappella. And I didn't have an instrument. I just had a little basket in front of me, and people gave me money. And the only reason I did that was because I wanted to stay in Belgium, but I didn't have enough English lessons to be able to make a living. So I had been singing with a band of brothers. I think I told you this yesterday, or was it somebody else? I can't remember. I'm talking to so many people at the moment. I just love it. I love to talk. Anyway, I had a friend there called Haylwen, and we're still friends. And Haylwen and I had gone to a place called La Houblonnière. And we saw these guys, and they were playing Irish folk music. And I love Irish folk music.
Me too.
So they were really good, and I went up to them and I said, "You're really fantastic." I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "But you need something." And he said, what is it we need?" I said, "You need to have a singer." He said, "But where are we going to find a singer?" I said, "Here I am." So I started singing with them, and we had concerts, and we used to go and sing in the street. And so I used to go and busk with the boys, and so that's where it started, because I knew what they could make money. So I thought, well, if they can make money, I can make money. And that's how this wonderful singer, Edith Piaf, came into my life, because I'd heard about her. I knew she had made, that's where she'd started out on the street. So I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. And look, here I am, 40 years and more down the line. Wow. I'm still singing her songs, and you know, it's coming up to 2 years now in August. I had a fabulous concert in the West End in London when I did my show Passionate About Piaf in a wonderful little place called ZL's Brasserie. And they have, if you live in London and you're looking for somewhere absolutely stunning to go to, it's just off Piccadilly Circus, and they have this glorious French cafe as you go in, and then you go down the stairs, and there's this beautiful dining room with a piano and mirrors, and it's fabulous. Wow. And then just tucked away around the corner, there's a little theatre, and that theatre holds 80 people, and it's just beautiful, and it's called Crazy Cocks. And I sold out Crazy Cocks, and I had 2 standing ovations, and no, 1 standing ovation, 2 encores. So I was hoping to be able to build on that last year, and I got about 6 or 7 gigs in. We were doing well. I was with a production company. We were going to, we had 1 gig in the Cotswolds. We had 1 gig in Swansea. We had 1 gig lined up in Fishguard. And then COVID hit. I did my last gig on at the end of February, and then a week later, COVID, woof. So no singing since then, apart from something I did a few weeks ago, which was online. So I'm hoping one day to be able to get back to my singing. But again, I'm going to have to be patient.
Yes, I was just going to say, you're practicing patience right now, yeah? So yes, you, I, and many other people around the world are being extremely patient. Yeah, okay.
We have to. We have no choice.
Yes, I know.
You know, but I do believe very strongly that we had a choice at the beginning of lockdown, either to sit around watching Netflix and complain, or to use it as an opportunity to grow. And that's what I've done.
I was studying for 2 months, and that's what I was doing at the beginning of lockdown. And then I decided, okay, where am I going to go now from here? And that's when I jumped into coaching, because it was something I was going to do anyway. I've just been forced into it quicker than I planned. I was going to do it, you know, just dip my toe into it, you know, but now I've like gone in full without a life preserver, without a rubber ring.
Well, can I just say something, right? And you may not like what I'm saying, but I'm going to say it.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of people out there who want to coach, call themselves coaches, and there are weekend courses that you can go and follow, and I think that is really dangerous for all of us. I have an ILM level 7 equivalent qualification. I've got a master's degree in social science. I've got a certificate of education. I've got a train the trainer. I've got a mental health first aid qualification. I have got all of those things and 2 TEFL certificates. And I would not want to be in the same category as somebody who's just gone on a weekend course, because basically it's taken me all my life to get to this point where I am so skilled that I can make differences in people's lives, because that's what it is all about. It's not being there and just, you know, telling people what they should be doing. That's the last thing I ever do with anybody. And people have a misunderstanding about what coaching is all about. What I say to people is, no one got to the Olympics without a coach. Do you think Barack Obama was able to just take a podium and start speaking as he does? No, we all need coaches.
I know, yes.
People to bring the best out of us.
Yeah, this is why the business is booming at the moment. It's a $2.1 billion a week business now. That's what Dean Graziosi was saying the other month. It's exploding online. I have an American Union of NLP certificate for life coaching, but I draw on my own experiences of being scared and having low self-esteem and digging myself out of a hole, and obviously doing a hell of a lot of reading on self-development, and listening from the experts. I mean, who is your favorite expert, let's say, guru?
That's hard to say, really, because by now I passed the course so long ago, and what I have done by now is I actually just use the methods that actually work for me. So I have devised my own methodology, and it brings in all of the goal, you know, SMIRT, all of those, you know, all those acronyms that are used. I basically just deal with the person who's in front of me. I find out what the issues are. I find out what the false beliefs are, and we work with those things. And I am quite eclectic, really, because I'll often come up with an idea in a session that I've never used before. For example, I'm quite happy to do this, to talk about this in public, because my coachee has spoken about it in public in an environment where I was present. So I know that she doesn't mind talking about this. But there was a woman I worked with, and she had lost her daughter and it was a stillborn baby, and she was finding, I sort of realized that there was some sort of a connection between that and her beliefs about money. And I did some work with her, which would be considered really bizarre and odd. But what I got her to do, it was about self-love. It's about self-love. So what I did with her, I got her to buy a teddy bear and call it the name of the baby she had lost. And she actually sleeps with that every day. And her mindset about money has changed like that.
Wow.
She's flying.
Wow.
And you wouldn't believe it, you know? And some of the stuff that we're struggling with is to do with our inner child. And so that works with the inner child, because basically, you know, when you're a child, you want to be comforted. What do you have? You have a cuddly toy.
Yes.
No, I never had a cuddly toy as far as I remember, but my daughter did. She had Percy the penguin. And oh my God, the places we had to go back to because Percy the penguin had been left there. But I never had that. But I now have a dog. It's that big. And I sleep with my dog every night. And I tell my dog that I love it. So it's very strange, very unorthodox, but it works. It works.
Yeah,
So,
no, okay. I'm hearing a lot about pleasing the inner child, keeping the inner child happy.
Well, I wouldn't know. I think what we do tend to do is we have some self-hatred, which is directed towards the inner child. What we need to do with the inner child is to make it feel protected, to make it feel safe, to make it feel that it is loved. So, you know, it is basically a way of connecting with who we are, because we're all born into this life with the expectation that we will be loved. Unconditional love. All you have to do is look at a brand new baby, and everybody loves that baby unconditionally. It doesn't have to do anything. We're born with two fears, one of loud noises and the other one is of being dropped, which is quite normal. All the other fears that we have in life, whatever anxiety that we bring to the table on a daily basis, those it's like a snowball. We just picked them up somewhere along the line. And it could be we picked them up when we hit puberty. It could be when we were in university and we had a problem. Whatever happens, that inner child doesn't feel safe and protected anymore. So basically, it's about getting back in touch with that inner child and making it feel loved. So, you know, I have, anyway, have I got it here? Yes, I do. I do a lot of this stuff myself, you see. This one here. This is me when I was.
Oh, very cute.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh,
wow. So that's little me. And little me, that was taken, I think, when I was in primary school, and everything was all lovely, lovely, lovely and hunky-dory. And when I was in my teenage years, I had some very, very unpleasant experiences, which have really affected me throughout my life. So I have to keep reminding myself, this is my inner child. I love her. She's very precious to me. So that's another coaching tip that people can work on.
Yeah. I often reflect back, and I've got old school photos of me too. All right, okay. Just going back to the patience is a virtue idea. Have you heard this expression? Patience is a virtue. Virtue is a grace. Grace is a little girl who doesn't wash her face.
No, I hadn't heard that one.
Oh, right.
That's
okay.
really good.
Yeah, well, I teach that in my course. So I've got a great course that has my tools in it as well, and stuff that I've used that works on me. And even though I've only got one client who's in my group, in our community, she managed to halve her fears and double her self-esteem in only 7 weeks. So I know
that's good.
I know what I'm doing is really powerful stuff. I don't have all the credentials that you have. You have a stack full of credentials. Amazing.
I have.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always relate to, I mean, I did them at various points in my life. You know, the TEFL certificate I did when I was living in Belgium and was teaching English as a foreign language in banks, in the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, in Dow Corning in Holland. You know, the certificate of education, I did that because I was going to go and be a physical education teacher. That's what I wanted to do. But I had to change direction, and that was one of the most really, it was very traumatic for me at that time because I didn't want to be any other teacher. But I did get my certificate of education, you know. So don't forget that I'm 64. I'm not a spring chicken any longer.
No, neither am I.
Sorry?
Neither am I. I'm not a spring chicken either.
Well, so, you know, I mean, we can have a whole bag full of credentials. It doesn't mean to say that we're good at the job.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating. And the way I look at it is, and this is a tip for you, is, you know, I'm working a lot with people on a global level now, which is something that was not happening before. And I find it really, really wonderful. And thank goodness for COVID for that. And what I do, sorry?
Yes, thank goodness, I'm praying.
Well, yeah. And so, but what I do is when I'm working with somebody on an international level, I get them to do me a testimonial. And then I've got a YouTube full of testimonials, because if you look, wait a minute, I think it's this one here. This, for example, are all the testimonials, the written ones that I have. I have hundreds of testimonials, written testimonials. This one here, for example, this is from a fashion designer. This one here is from, she is a twice nominated Oscar winner. I worked with them. You know, but the fact of the matter is, people are not interested in seeing, they're not interested in seeing stuff like that anymore. What they want is a human being in front of them saying, I worked with Gwenno. Oh my God, she was amazing. We did this, and this. And so you've got a human being saying what they do, how I helped, how I enabled them to move from a place where they were stuck to a place where they're functioning really well. And that's all you can hope for people. You can't transform their lives unless they actually want to.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's it. That's the key. They've got to want the change. If they don't, if you don't want the change, they're wasting their money getting a coach. They've really got to want it.
I've only ever had one client who wasn't willing to put the work in, and you could see, and I just wanted to get rid of her because when I work with clients, I give them homework, not homework, written homework, but tasks, things that they need to work on, because otherwise they won't develop. So there has to be that commitment. And she never ever did all the tasks that I was asking her. You know, do you use gratitude diaries?
No, me? Not a diary, no, but I do make sure I make gratitude statements.
Right, because gratitude diaries are very, very powerful, and they were invented by a guy called Martin Seligman, who's a professor in the University of Los Angeles. He worked with people who have severe depression, and essentially he was getting them to physically write down every day 3 things that they were grateful for. And this works with people who have depression, so it works with anybody suffering from anxiety, because it allows you to keep track of how close you are coming to your goal.
Yeah, they are great, really powerful. To have an attitude of gratitude is amazing. It's life-changing. Anyway, Gwenno, we have hit our mark. Wow, that was an amazing chat. We diversified in different areas, but in general, we discussed that patience is really important, and you've clearly shown us many examples of how you've had to be patient in order to get the big achievements in your life, the big wins. So
I haven't finished yet. That's the thing, you see. I still got loads to achieve.
That's great. Good fighting talk. That's fantastic. So
I've got lots to do.
I know.
People to see.
Yes, I know. So thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I wish you the best for the future. And I'm going to drop in the post, when I post this video, your link tree. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you so
All right.
much.
No, you're welcome.